Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The time is 6:00 p.m. This meeting of your City Council is hereby called to order for August 29th, 2023, the 105th session of this 11th City Council. We turn the floor to Councilman William Parker, Jr. to introduce this evening's invocation.
Thank you, Brother President, and good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone has had a great day. Looking around, I do not see the person we invited this evening, so just let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, Lord God, we thank you this evening for the marvelous day that you allowed us to enjoy in your presence. We pray, God, that something was done today that was pleasing in your sight, and we ask that as we continue in our meeting today that you would grant us wisdom, guidance, and direction. Lord God, give us a kind and compassionate heart that we may consider the least, the last, and the lost as we do the work that you have placed in our hands to do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank God.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as we have a moment of silence as a community. We've recently said goodbye to the Honorable Ernie Allen Sr., who served as a member of this previous City Council body as a deputy mayor of the city and in many other public service capacities. We will be taking up a resolution honoring him this evening. Please join us as a community as we mourn his passing. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Roll call. Deputy Clerk Starks.
Carrington.
Present.
Goodman.
Yes.
James.
Here.
McGinnis.
Present.
Nicholson.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Rutherford.
Present.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Quorum being established, all members present and voting. Could I please have a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Rutherford, seconded by Councilman Goodman, that we approve this evening's agenda. Any corrections, changes, questions, or amendments? Hearing none, roll call and adoption of the agenda as presented. Clerk Doyle, or excuse me, Deputy Clerk Starks.
Carrington.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Yes.
Rutherford. 7 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The agenda is approved. Is there a motion to approve
So
this evening's
moved.
consent agenda?
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Rutherford, seconded by Councilman Goodman. Roll call and adoption of the consent agenda. Deputy Clerk Starks.
Goodman.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Nicholson.
No.
Parker.
Yes.
Rutherford.
Yes.
Carrington.
No.
5 yeas, 2 nays.
That motion carries. The consent agenda is adopted. We are at special presentations. The first, Pontiac City Council Pride and Beautification Award Signs distribution. Award signs are in. You can see that for yourselves, and they'll be distributed throughout the Pontiac community. We want to thank our neighbors who go above and beyond to share beauty and pride in their homes and their businesses and their neighborhoods. And we look to continue to enhance this annual tradition offered by the Pontiac City Council, where we're going to try and also bring back the receptions where they would celebrate and honor those that went above and beyond as well. So I just wanted to let you know the signs are in, they've begun being distributed, and if anyone's interested in being a part of the process this year or in future years, just give the City Council a shout and we'll happily help invite your participation and involvement. Any further discussion on that special presentation? All right, thank you. Our second special presentation, we wanted to make sure the community knew about the many exciting activities and progress and offerings that the Pontiac School District is bringing forth to the community, including the football season. The season is underway. The first home game that's just a few days away. And of course, the Pontiac Alumni 2023 Homecoming Spirit Week in the city. We're really honored to be joined by many of our allies and colleagues that serve on the Pontiac School Board, including the Board of Education President, the Honorable Gil Garrett. So we give the floor to him and his colleagues.
I should know better about pushing that button, right? Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, Pro Tem, excuse me, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for acknowledging this wonderful homecoming week, Spirit Week, that'll be coming up real soon. Pontiac, yes, well, last Friday, demolished its 42-game losing streak with a 52-22 win over Bishop Foley. Those young men worked hard over the summer, making sure those coaches worked hard, and this is a great feat for them, a legacy moment, if you will. I'm very proud of those young men, and so Anisha Hanna, who's over our alumni committee, she'll explain some of the events that we have for the week.
Good evening, and thank you again for inviting us to come to your meeting to share the activities that the school district has. I don't know if anybody had a chance to read the article in the Oakland Press that was done with Coach Wendell Jefferson in regards to the win that our football team had. But one of the questions that the interviewer had asked the team was, what were they shooting for? What was their goal this season? What did they want to accomplish? And one of the things that they mentioned in the article, and I'm not sure which player said this, but they said that they wanted to make their community proud. They said they wanted to change how people talked about us. So I think that speaks to the district as well as a whole, not just our football team, that we're really trying to make a difference in the community and change the negative perception that has been placed upon the district for so many years. So one of the ways that we're doing that and have been trying to do that is through our efforts through the Pontiac Alumni Spirit Week in the city. So September 30th will be the homecoming game for Pontiac High School. And so during that week, in an effort to reignite the spirit within the community, we know we have a lot of proud alumni from Pontiac Central, from Pontiac Northern, from Pontiac High, as well as ITA. So during this time, the 25th through the 30th, we'll have different activities going on throughout the community just to bring the community out and just to show their school spirit. So there are flyers, and thank you for posting that one. So as you see on Monday, there'll be some virtual activities just to remind the community of things that's happening in the community or the historical places that have been in the community. Tuesday, there'll be a scavenger hunt for everyone to participate in. The details will be forthcoming on our website, but that'll be something that's for family, children, and parents to get involved in. Wednesday, we're inviting the community to the Pontiac Transportation Museum to take a look at the work that they're doing over there. Thursday will be a throwback Thursday where everyone is just asked to remember those days. Remember when you were in high school, or remember this, or remember that. So that's what Thursday will look like. And then on Friday is an alumni reception. So that will be held at Shiloh, a Missionary Baptist Church in Pontiac. And details will be coming out for the time for that event too. So we're excited about the things that are happening within the district. We're really excited about this week, Spirit Week in the city for the Pontiac School District, and we hope that all the community will come out and enjoy. Thank you. And we do have flyers for the event too, to share.
Very good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
And would trustees like to share about the first opportunity for a home game that's just a few days away?
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for the invite. Yes, we are here on Thursday night at home for our first home game for the boys, and we're asking that all the city come on out and have a good time as we did the previous Friday out at Madison Heights, where the kids did extremely well. You're going to enjoy yourself with to see how our team has advanced and matured, and now they have the winning attitude, and we thank that all to Coach Bud Jefferson. So please come out Thursday night at 7 o'clock. But there's also further information following after the Friday event. As you know, the homecoming game is that Saturday at 2 o'clock, but we will be having a homecoming parade. So they're going to line up in their vehicles and be ready to leave at 10 a.m. that morning, correct? So they're going to leave out at 10 o'clock, and there's a route that they're taking. We'll get that information out so parents can come out. And we decided to do this on a Saturday, as traditionally it was in the past. And so it allows the parents and those who want to participate, just by viewing, to come on out on Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. and watch the parade with us and have a good time. Again, the kids will be there lining up at about 9 o'clock, and the parade itself will start at about 10 o'clock a.m. that Saturday, ending hopefully around noon, and the gates will open approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon to go into the stadium for the game. So we hope to see all of you there and have a good time. We will have a table there, we meaning this board, we'll have a table there as well as an alumni table. So come on out and enjoy the festivities and the food and have a good time. And we hope to see everybody in the city there to support these kids, because they've not had that in quite some time. This is our first victory since 2018. And an exceptional job. And we appreciate you guys for being there. Mr. Carrington, I appreciate you being there. Let's have some fun. You've been a supporter all the time. All of you have. And we want to thank you for being there. So,
Thank you very much. President Garrett, would you like to introduce your colleagues?
Yes, we have Board Trustee Kenyatta Bowman, Board Trustee Shaquana Davis-Smith. This is the Vice President, Kevin Gross, and again, Anisha Hanna, who's our Board Secretary and Chair of the Alumni. One last thing publicly I want to do, and we often talked about this. There is no Pontiac High without Pontiac Northern or Pontiac Central. And so we want to publicly make that known. That is not it was never a Pontiac High to replace a Pontiac Northern or a Pontiac Central. It was a financial choice that we had to make in 2007, 2008. And I was a part about making that choice. And we want to do a better job of making people understand clearly there is no Pontiac High without Pontiac Northern and Pontiac Central. As Mr. Bass tugged me on my shoulder, he said that Pontiac Central should be a little bigger. I'll leave it up for the alumni to decide. But the Pontiac Alumni Foundation is, we've partnered with them to push a heavy effort to making sure that all classes from each school are recognized. We're building up our database for each class reunion. We're highlighting previous alumni to make sure that Pontiac High and moving forward, that things are done in a fashion of honor and legacy. And so for those who have felt not recognized, felt like as if they were just pushed aside, as president of the Pontiac School District, I humbly apologize for even allowing that to happen. I can't take away your feelings and emotions around it, but what I will publicly say, and as these colleagues around us have stated several, throughout their social media, there is no Pontiac High without Pontiac Central or Pontiac Northern. We thank you so much for allowing us to stand on your shoulders.
Thank you very much. Questions or feedback from City Council members? Pro Tem William A. Carrington.
Yes, thank you, President McGinnis. I first want to congratulate you guys on a great win. And one thing I've seen from this year's team that I haven't seen in previous teams since 2015 was discipline.
Yes.
And I just commend those coaches for bringing discipline to our young men.
Thank you, sir.
Further discussion? I do want to alert the school board that we are going to be taking up a resolution in a few moments as well, commending you on your accomplishment with the recognition by the Michigan Association of School Boards for your continuing education and professional development. So we'll be voting on that momentarily.
Yes, sir.
Hearing no further discussion, that concludes this special presentation. Recognition of elected officials, and again, thank you to the school board trustees that are here with us. Are there any other requests from current elected officials that wish to have the floor? Hearing none. Agenda address, Pro Tem Carrington, are there any requests for community members to address items on the agenda? Oh, yes. President Garrett, you have the floor.
So from the charter, just from the Charter Commission at this point, if you haven't tuned in or haven't had a chance to fill out the surveys that's been coming, I'm just asking those, Mr. and Mrs. Pontiac, to fill out the survey to help lead us in a discussion. Soon, I believe is Chair Tamika Ramsey and Chair Kermit Williams will be reaching out to the executive office and also to the council's office. I've been making phone calls on my own separately to kind of get your input. We thought we had longer than we to discuss what should be in the charter, roles and responsibilities of council and how we want districts to look and things of that nature. And it came to find out we didn't. And we kind of lost a year. It came to us as a news that the actual starting the conversation should have started when we were elected, not when it should have started, when the community decided to say, hey, we want to do a charter revision, and not actually when we were elected. So we lost a year. I think it was a year and some months. And so Tamika Ramsey asked us to kind of help push that information. So I know those two specifically will be reaching out, and we're going to be reaching out to each one of you to kind of get your input. We switched meetings to every other Thursday, so we'll have a meet. We didn't have a meeting. No, we had a meeting last Thursday, and then the next meeting is this following Thursday coming up. And so we're just trying to get as much information as possible. We did a survey run before, but we only had maybe like 50 people to fill it out. But we're going to work with what we have when it comes down to the charter. And so, again, they'll be in touch, and this is from the Charter Commission. Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Request for agenda address, Pro Tem Carrington.
Yes, Quincy Stewart.
Just as an Arts Commissioner, I want just to announce, well, first of all, let me say this. I'm deeply appreciative of everybody that came out last Thursday to our lawn chair concert, which featured myself and Melanie Rutherford. We were supposed to have it at Rotary Park, and it rained that day before. Grass was wet. And so we put out a sign, and we got on Facebook, and we had a packed house. And when I say packed, it was at capacity. And we had an outstanding time. My band played, and our seeming resident videographer, Carrington, every time there's a concert in the town, it seems like Carrington is there to get a piece of it. I'm glad he did, because it wasn't taped, and yours is the only record of that night. So keep on doing what you're doing and get better equipment. And you might want to talk to Garrett over there. Get some better equipment, and you can keep on doing that. All right. Anyway, I want to announce that on September the 7th, Persuasion will be there with Consuming Arts as the opening act, and that will be at Murphy Park. That'll be the last one, I think. Yep, that's the last one. So please come out and support that, the lawn chair concert, the Arts Commission. We're steady trying to make things happen, so we appreciate your support, and thank you for the time.
All right, thank you, sir. Dr. Deidre Waterman.
Good evening. I'm speaking to the consent agenda item D, and I noticed that two of you council people did vote against that consent agenda. But it deals with, item D deals with the raise that has been requested by the administration for the Director of Grants and Philanthropy, you know what I'm trying to say. That's Alex Borgengasser, who I hired some time ago. This is the third raise she's had during this administration, and it's very ironic that it's being raised, realize the value, even though I was criticized for hiring her and bringing her to the city at that kind of raise. But the incredible thing, though, is that, and I don't know why this administration, has to conceal this information, but there's nothing in the packet that says what the raise is or the amount. Generally, that's not a problem. Whenever you have a raise or a difference in salary, you just put it on the agenda and you vote for that budget amendment. So I don't know why that didn't happen this time, why it had to be concealed from the public. Actually, I knew what the amount was. It was $115,000 because it was supposed to be on last week's agenda, and originally it was posted the Friday that the agenda was posted. But somehow somebody got a win and decided to take it off the agenda. But when it was posted, it did have the amounts. That's how I know. But those are just things that are necessary to do. You know, people deserve straightforward answers and be able to have without having this hidden and concealed. No reason to hide something like this, okay? And if council doesn't want to discuss it, don't want to vote about it, you can also, and I don't know if your chief of staff or anybody has told you this, but if you don't agree with something on the consent agenda, you can ask to have it taken off the consent agenda so you can discuss it publicly. That wasn't done, so as far as we know, it was intended not to let the public know what this raise was and what it was about.
Thank you. Mr. Chuck Johnson. Ms. Darlene Clark. Ms. Gloria Miller.
Thank you, former Mayor Waterman. I swear to people, I haven't called you. I haven't spoken with you about you. That's what I want to speak about in item D on the agenda. It's not just this one, former Mayor Waterman. All the consent agenda items are not brought forward to the public. So I was going to ask the council, any of this body, Mr. McGinnis, you the president, where's the resolution for item D? We always have resolutions. We need to know what they're making. I looked up over the weekend. You guys had a special meeting on July 22nd in regards to bringing Sharika Hawkins here. I love her, not personal, love her to death. How much she makes? I looked on the agenda. There's nothing on there. There's no minutes on it. You guys started at 8-something. You ended at 9:45 or so. But there's no minute. It had how everyone voted yes, that's normal. But what was said at that meeting? And then and I had to go back and I spoke to a couple of people that come down. You guys never mentioned that you had a special meeting. I'm sure that the clerk posted, because you know you have to post that when you had that special meeting on July 22nd for Sharika. How much is she making? As well as, well, former mayor already told me, I don't see the resolution. When you do things like that, that means you're not being transparent to the citizens of Pontiac. Actually, it was brought to my attention, and I said, you know, you're right. You guys start putting it in your packets. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. That concludes agenda address.
All right. We're at resolutions number 3. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution honoring the life and service of Ernie Allen Sr.?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Moved by Councilman Rutherford, seconded by Councilman Nicholson. This item is now before us. As we mentioned in the moment of silence, Mr. Allen served this community that he loved greatly in many capacities, even including on the Charter Revision Commission in the early 1980s that helped craft the form of city government that we have now. He represented District 6 on the Pontiac City Council, and he served as pro tem also at various times and as deputy mayor. So we send our condolences and our heartfelt sympathies to his family, friends, neighbors, and former colleagues here at the city of Pontiac. And there is a memorial where we'll be presenting this resolution as well in early September. Is there any discussion on the motion before us? Hearing no further discussion, roll call on adoption of the resolution. Deputy Clerk.
James.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Nicholson.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Rutherford.
Yes.
Carrington.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
7 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Is there a motion adopting the resolution honoring the school district of the City of
moved.
Pontiac's
Support.
Board of Education for the Michigan Association of School Board Recognition? It's been moved by Councilman Rutherford, seconded by Councilman Nicholson. The honorable body, and you heard from a number of their members this evening, they've been honored by the State Association of all the school boards in our great state as an honor board, and that designation requires a great deal of work, labor, investment of time and resources to provide continuing education and professional development, so that way they are serving our community to the best of their ability. And it's a big milestone, so we want to, as a city, acknowledge it formally. And we'd like to give the floor to President Garrett with any reflections he has on this milestone.
Thank you again, sir. First of all, we could not have accomplished this. It is a actual two-year process where you have to stay board certified individually before you're considered to be an honors board in the state of Michigan. And so when President McGinnis and Vice President Carrington received both their board certifications, when we had to go through the appointment of Trustee Hannah and Trustee Terry, we had to carry that for another year and a half. And so thank you for allowing us to set that milestone and that legacy for us to have it here. And so now that Trustee Kraft came aboard and Trustee Terry and Trustee Hannah are now still board certified, we're looking to go to the second level of board certifications in the state of Michigan. And I've already received notice that we'll be awarded the Honors Award for 2023. That didn't start with us, it started with you. And so I just want to thank you two for being consistent, and also this dais and this administration for staying consistent with us as we're moving through the process. I sit as a board of directors for the state of Michigan, and I sit as the national chair representing Pontiac across 41 states and 3.5 million students as a board of directors for the National School Board Associations. And so I would not be able to do that without these wonderful people who serve with me day in and day out, where I'm able to travel and talk about what we do here in Pontiac, Michigan around education. And again, that certification means everything to us, because if we ask for professional development from the teachers that are in front of our students, we understand that leadership starts from the top. And so we knew we had to be who we needed to be in order to enforce what we needed our teachers to be. And so thank you again.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilwoman Rutherford?
I think this is amazing, and it's a great step forward. And I really want to just tell y'all, I know it's very hard and you faced a lot of adversity, but through adversity comes champions. And so you should give yourself a pat on the back. And I think it's a new dawn and a new day in the school district of Pontiac. So again, congratulations.
All right. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. With that, Councilwoman Rutherford, would you like to read the resolution?
Yep. Whereas the Pontiac City Council takes great pleasure in recognizing the recent accomplishments of the Pontiac School District Board of Education, and whereas the Pontiac School District Board of Education was recently recognized by the Michigan Association of School Boards, MSBSB, by earning its honor board designation, and whereas the distinct honor is given to the board annually who have achieved full certification status, meaning all board members have completed and attained their certification, and whereas this prestigious designation is only achieved by only a few boards across the state each year, and whereas we honor the commitment to excellence by the Pontiac School Board members Gil Garrett, G. Kevin Gross, Anisha Hanna, Marcus Terry, Kenyatta Bowman, Shaquana Davis-Smith, and Troy Craft. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Pontiac City Council recognizes the tireless work that the Pontiac School Board of Education has exhibited, and we express our sincerest appreciation. Therefore, it be resolved that the members of the Pontiac City Council are very proud of the Pontiac School Board's achievement and grateful for the commitment to the important role they play in the success of the school district of Pontiac. Congratulations.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Hearing no further discussion, roll call on adoption of the resolution. Deputy Clerk.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Nicholson. Yes. Parker,
Yes.
Rutherford,
Yes.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
7 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted.
Thank y'all so much again. Thank y'all so much again. Appreciate you.
All right, is there a motion to adopt the resolution to execute an agreement with
So
DLZ
moved.
for the replacement of the Sheriff
Board.
Building cooling tower for the city of Pontiac? Moved by Councilman Rutherford, seconded by Councilman Parker. That motion is now before us. We give the floor to the Mayor and Administration for presentation.
Thank you. I'd like to pass this item over to Deputy Mayor Stevens to comment on.
All right, got it now. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. The administration is asking to table this item for 1 week. There seems to be some concerns about making sure that all of the I's are dotted and T's are crossed and looking at the overall numbers here. But the item itself is to replace cooling towers in the sheriff's substation, and then we will additionally next week have, I believe, a request to replace heating and cooling apparatus for the ground floor level of this building as well. And the question is, the two different items are both heating and cooling, both water towers, and at least one of them has a discrepancy, but I was not able to speak with the purchasing manager today to determine which item actually has the discrepancy. So until I can find that out, I would ask that you temporarily table this item.
Is there a motion to postpone for 1 week?
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Rutherford, seconded by Pro Tem Carrington, that we consider postponement for 1 week. Any discussion on the motion to postpone? Hearing no discussion, roll call on adoption of the motion to postpone for 1 week. Deputy Clerk.
Parker,
Yes.
Rutherford,
Yes.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Nicholson.
Yes.
7 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution, the postponement is in effect. It'll be before us next week. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution to approve the proposed budget amendment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
It has been moved by Councilman Rutherford, seconded by Pro Tem Carrington. This is number 6 on the agenda. This resolution approves the proposed budget amendment to increase budgeted revenues in the amount of $12,277.50 to the respective GL account, and expenditures in the amount of $12,277.50 to respective GL account, and $2,722.50 to a respective GL account. This proposed budget amendment relates to the SEMCOG grant. It was postponed last week, so now it's before us once more. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Administration, anything further you'd like us to know before we vote?
Yes, thank you. This item was discussed quite a bit last week, so I don't have a lot to add substantively other than this is a planning grant for an improvement to a park here that's funded with a grant from the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments. The reason why it was postponed from last week is that some numbers were transposed, and we wanted to make sure that we were getting all of those numbers correct. Director Sadowski, I don't know if you have anything to add to this item. It doesn't look like you do. So with that, that's all we have. We certainly are happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Any further discussion? This was discussed approximately 4 weeks ago when we authorized the posting of the budget amendment. Last week, for discussion, we postponed it for 1 week. It's before us once more. Hearing no further discussion. Roll call on adoption of the resolution to approve the proposed budget amendment. Deputy Clerk.
Rutherford,
Yes.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
7 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted. The budget is hereby amended. Is there, for number 7, under purchasing, is there a motion to adopt the resolution to authorize the city clerk to publish the notice of the proposed
So
budget
moved.
amendment?
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Rutherford, seconded by Pro Tem Carrington. This is for the current budget year, increasing the budget appropriation in certain GL accounts. And we'll give the floor to the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Administration for the background.
Yeah, thank you. This item allocates funding in order to provide for the hiring of an administrative assistant in the purchasing division so that we can accelerate the workflow through that division. Again, I know that that's part of the finance department, so Director Sadowski, do you have anything to add to this item relating to the budget amendment for purchasing for the hiring of an administrative assistant? Okay.
Councilman Nicholson.
I just want to say, my council office backs up to the purchasing department, and I asked the mayor a few weeks ago what are that director's hours, because they put in such a tremendous amount of time, and through the finance committee, we hear an endless amount and request an endless amount of RFPs to be conducted, and to do all of that work all at the same time and is tremendous. And to make sure that we can up the ante and get more bids and stronger opportunities for the different projects and purchasing that we're doing for the city, I think this is more than necessary, and I can't wait to see the value that it produces. So, thank you.
Any further discussion? Again, this is authorizing the posting of the notice. It'll be before us in 2 weeks for the budget amendment to be considered after the community's been notified that it's forthcoming. Hearing no further discussion, roll call and adoption of the resolution authorizing the city clerk to publish the proposed budget amendment. Deputy Clerk.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Rutherford. 7 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. The resolution is adopted, and we will see this before us in a few weeks. We are now at public comment. Pro Tem Carrington, any requests tonight?
Yes, thank you, President McGinnis. Ms. Regina Campbell.
Okay, perfect. So, good evening, distinguished City Council members. I am here today, and Mayor and Deputy Mayor. I am here today to, I just ran up those steps from the parking lot, so I'm a little winded, so forgive me. But I'm here to give some clarity on a letter that I sent out last week. The first clarity I want to give is that I am Regina Campbell, who's working with Pontiac Drywall Systems, PDSI contractors, on the senior project as the project manager, project coordinator. There was a letter that went out last week, I addressed it to the facilities and park and recreation, that the roof was leaking. The letter went out because the intent of the letter was to go out to notify the department heads of the hazard because the water was leaking into the light fixture. However, at the subcommittee meeting Friday, it was alluded that I sent the letter out, or we sent it out, to justify some delays. That was not the intent of the letter. So I just wanted to give that clarification as it relates to that letter that went out on last week after that heavy rainstorm, that the ceiling over at Bowen Center had a leak. It went out to Larry, Al, and our roofer went out and did some repairs because it did damage the men's bathroom ceiling, which is part of our project, which we immediately fixed. It had nothing to do with it. We just told them we fixed it. However, you guys need to be aware of this leak. Larry and Al went out the following day, and then they brought their roofer in to walk the project to remediate the problem. So just wanted to give clarity on that. That's it from me.
Thank you. Mr. Quincy Stewart.
The cruel and dastardly murder of 3 black people this past weekend by an acting white supremacist in Florida should come as no shock. Given the history of institutionalized white supremacy here in North America, none of us should be aghast at the fact that this occurred. The real issue at hand is what measures have we taken as a people, as black folks? I mean us, black folks, to protect ourselves from the wanton violence from those who classify themselves as white, those of them who are proposed to commit such acts as this. Or by certain so-called law enforcement officers who are prone to murder, brutality, harassment, and so forth. And yes, even those of us, of our own ilk, who have lost their black minds and rob, maim, rape, or murder us as well. On CNN, I noticed that as this incident was being discussed, it was mentioned several times how black people should, that those that feel a sense of outrage must react peacefully. I find it a most profound and mystifying contradiction that whenever heinous acts of barbarism in its many forms are perpetrated on black folks, we are commanded to be peaceful, docile, and reliant on the system and the greater Caucasian community at large to either come to their senses and dole out some humane treatment, or nestle comfortably in the nullifying practice of gradualism. Yet conversely, when the American European Caucasian suffers an affront to their safety or security, war is called for. Swift retribution is an assumed right, and at minimum, self-defense is a given. In closing, not one prayer to Jesus, Muhammad, chants to Buddha, or admonitions to a higher power has thwarted the 400-plus year bloody history of white-on-black violence. Accordingly, it behooves black folk, as rational, sane, sober, moral, and prudent human beings, to not only consider self-defense as a normal course of action in these instances, but just as our 400-year oppressor has addressed his aggressions, or as his assumed natural right to self-defense and some sort of retaliatory response, so should we.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Stewart. Ms. Renee Beckley.
Today is August the 29th, 2023. The main bathrooms at the Bowen Center are still not complete. They've been closed since November 2022. It does not take that long to do a bathroom. I had a bathroom made from scratch years ago. My family did. It only took a maximum 6 months. But this is longer than that, maybe 4 months. Question to Michael McGinnis. You are the DDA director for the city of Berkeley. First question, does Berkeley make any money from the Dream Cruise? Part 2, if so, if the answer is yes, what is the estimate amount of the money they made this year or the totals from last year? Pontiac, a city strapped for cash, dropped the ball in hosting a major event in the city and not to make any money from it. Never in my life have I seen anyone not upset about missing such a great opportunity to profit from people who come, and visitors from all over the world to your city. Now, about this city council who voted on this Phoenix Center deal. Mayor Grimal changed a section of the contract. I guess this is what it was, a presentation that they had during the meeting. Just a few minutes before, he was right over there in this corner, and he introduced either new terms or changed the language. I didn't see it, so I think this is what happened. Anyone with simple businesses knows that one word or one sentence can change a whole contract. Yet, this council who voted on it on August the 8th, 2023, Kathleen James was absent, was Melanie Rutherford, William Carrington, Michael Goodman, Michael McGinnis, and Brett Nicholson, William Parker. They all voted unanimously yes. And yet we the citizens are still in the dark about what's going on with this. My question is, you don't have a place for the people to park. Where are they going to park their cars? 600 people every day downtown, Monday through Friday. That's one question. You are not prepared for such a move. Is the goal to remove the Phoenix Center tax off the Pontiac Road and put it on the county road? Since the Pontiac tax, I think, was higher than the county according on my tax bill, and the county was lower. This whole council need not to run for re-election because they do not understand what they read or don't understand what they vote on. And they just appear to follow orders to satisfy a county executive and the mayor. There is nothing to satisfy yourself, pat yourself on the back, or hear any motivational speeches or what you heard from Prosperity Church.
That
no
does
need to
conclude your
debate
time.
this. Think about the missing pieces.
Thank you, Ms. Beckley.
Ask the citizens what we want in our downtown. Thank you.
Mr. Kevin Stewart.
And I will answer your questions in my closing comments. The city council, though, did unanimously vote against that last-minute section that was referenced, that the mayor proposed. That was a unanimous vote in opposition.
Last week, after I spoke at this mic, I was accosted and basically told that I was some type of Johnny-come-lately. My first experience with the city of Pontiac came as a civics lesson at the age of 12 or 13 years of age. Students were responsible to read current events every Friday in class. My article was about a Pontiac City Council member who purchased alligator shoes using the city credit card and while on a city-funded conference. I have watched several heists that occurred in the city of Pontiac pre-financial manager. The $14 million spent with the previous Strand Theater, the $37 million cash that was removed from Tiffa 1 for the soon-to-be raised Pontiac Phoenix Plaza, the $1 million grant that was spent on streetscape, not to mention the Pontiac Silver Dome, $75 million and sold for mere pennies on the dollar, sold at a price of a comfortable home in South Florida. The $27 million paid to the Silver Dome as a settlement for the Lions breaking their lease. And today is Michael Jackson's birthday. I am asking city leaders to produce the photo of Michael Jackson with the Pontiac Police Department Uniform Division that was showcased at the Pontiac Silver Dome that included his signature rhinestone glove that he donated after his 1984 victory tour at the Pontiac Silver Dome, or Elvis Presley's cape that was donated after his 1975 New Year's Eve concert at the Silver Dome. Online websites value his cape in the range of fetching $125,000 to $175,000 depending on the condition. His Aloha from Hawaii cape was returned to Graceland and is valued at over $1 million. Or the photos of the Pope while at the Silver Dome. The 1967 Camaro SS that was a forfeiture vehicle that was used as a dare vehicle dressed out in Pontiac police decals that vanished. My FOIA went ignored, and a Pontiac police officer told me that it was auctioned off by the city. The officer looked from side to side as he told me, looked from side to side to see if anyone was listening when he told me to get a big shovel and start digging. The clerk responded directly to me face to face and said that she had no record of this vehicle being auctioned. I will speak next week on what I'm calling the first of its kind, the first white-collar political heist that included city, county, and state government. Who knew what and when?
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Ms. Billy Swazer.
Good afternoon. My name is Billy Swazer. I'm here to talk about the retiree opt-out that was offered several years ago to certain retirees. A retiree was offered $20,000 to opt out of health care benefits. Only retirees could opt out, not their husbands or wives. One of the conditions of opting out was that a retiree and his or her spouse could not receive city insurance. Maddie Hatchett is a widow of former 50th District Court employee Joel Hatchett, who died. Maddie is one of many spouses in this situation. The finance director, Sadowski, wants the money that's left was designated for this purpose to go to the VEBA. I ask that the city immediately offer the opt-out options to the spouses of these retirees that previously could not have collected this. Please consider this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swazer. Dr. Dozier Waterman.
Good evening again. I think the Oakland County deal, in which they got $50 million from the state of Michigan, to help to redevelop our downtown. And the Phoenix Center deal is still very much on everybody's minds. And I think at a previous council meeting, I started talking about who were the greatest and the biggest financial winners of that deal. So we talked about that, and it remains to be determined if the city of Pontiac, what they will get from it, if we can enforce the things we should have gotten from it that you said was in the agreement. We don't know yet because we haven't seen the whole agreement, which was signed August the 9th, by the way. But we do know that the developer and his buddies downtown who reneged on their deal to do the $18 million worth of development in the city for us did renege on it, and they got $19 million. Okay. Now, I think the biggest loser in this is the credibility of the administration in conducting this deal. Because there were so many tricks and things and false information that was given out in order to sell this deal, that it brings a lot of skepticism in terms, just like I said, I talked about the agenda item earlier. I'd like to talk about some of those items. I can't get through them all, but I'm going to give you an example. When this was first brought to us, the council, and you remember when it was first brought, I remember Mayor said he didn't know much about it. 2 days later, he was all in the newspaper. He apparently did know quite a bit about it. And I remember you came to the next meeting, Pastor Parker, and said that you felt betrayed. I think the citizens felt betrayed, too, in the way this deal was done. Okay. Not to say it can't be good for the city, but the way it was done was just not very straightforward and transparent. One of the things that was brought to us is this was the sale of the Phoenix Center. We had a public hearing in which it said, the sale of the Phoenix Center. Well, we didn't sell the Phoenix Center, we gave it away. We gave it away, you know? And the emergency manager was going to give away for $1. Our mayor did better. He gave it away for nothing. All right? So supposedly, we're going to get 5.6, or what's left of the $5.6 million back from the state. But that's not all we put into it. We put in $7 million cash. We're not going to get that back according to what's said here. So we're at a loss. You know, got the other side getting $19 million. City is getting zilch, and we're scammed. That's not really what I call a sale or a good deal. Okay, the other thing, we've been told various things, and I'm going to have to finish this later because there's quite a list of them. We were told that the Phoenix Center, there was a 99-year lease. No, it says in the memorandum of understanding that it was 20 years, depending on whether they had fulfilled that. And I will come back because there are more things. There is a list.
Right, thank you, Dr. Waterman. Ms. Anita Bo.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anita, and again, I'm just here one last time to mention the 2 community events that will be held this weekend. On Saturday, September the 2nd, we have Bridging the Gap for our community. They will have free haircuts for children, free food, bounce houses, games, and more. That will be at the park on Stanley Street, and again, that is hosted by Don Hanna. And then on Sunday, September the 3rd, we will have an annual community picnic. They're going to have live entertainment, Phase 5, and others. They will have a DJ. They are going to have vendors, and they are going to have food, hot dogs, chicken, that sort of thing. So this is bring your own chair for the entertainment. Again, all of this is free, and it's for the community, and we'd like you guys to come out. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carlton Jones. Mr. Chuck Johnson.
Thank you very much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, those of you here in the audience and those of you at home watching by television. I like to applaud young folk like Kevin Stewart, who? Yeah, I was trying to get it out. Yeah, anyways, these young folk can bring a lot of information that this city has not talked about or heard about in a number of administration and council exchanges. And I'm glad and happy to see these young guys and others that would come and talk about things that we need to be talking about and need to hear about, because this city was raped and the citizens was raped over the years from different and all kinds of individuals that came here and just took over. The next thing I want to speak about is we talking about downtown. There's an old van sitting in the downtown area, has been there for 3 weeks in the corner of this parking structure here. It don't need to be there for whatever reason. I don't understand why it's sitting there. Nobody's moved it, or unless somebody's dead or sleeping in it. It should go away. In my observation of downtown area, I noticed a lot of drug and sexual activities going on just underneath the Phoenix Plaza there by the bus stop. And that clump of brush or trees that's dead end needs to be cut down and removed, because a lot of activity goes on in that brush, and it needs to be cut down and removed. It's not doing anybody any good. The next thing is downtown is when we have these activities in the city, for some reason, the very dead end of Saginaw Street never gets cleaned up. It never gets cleaned up. I've watched this on 2 different occasions. It has never gotten cleaned up. The last occasion, the only reason why it was clean is because the wind blew everything away. It blew it either into the plaza or across the parking lot or wherever. I think we should pay more attention to the cleanliness of downtown, because somebody's not doing their job. But we, the taxpayers, has got to pay our people to go and do somebody else's work that we're paying for, and we get nothing in return. Nothing. I was in a restaurant just the other day downtown, and the owner of there told me, you know, we got shut out. Our driveway was blocked. We couldn't even have customers coming in. I said, well, did you go to the city? Did you complain to anybody or talk to anybody? She said, well, we were told that we had no recourse. We didn't have nothing to say or nothing to do. They just blocked my driveway, and that was the end of the story. And that's the end of my minutes, so I'll finish here next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Darlene Clark?
Good afternoon, Council, Administration, and Clerk. I'm Darlene Clark, as a resident of Pontiac. I'm speaking as a resident. This right here message or conversation is actually not for the council at this time. This conversation is for Councilman Parker, Major Tim Grimal, Billy Swayzer, Patricia Waterman, Deidre Waterman. There's so many questions at this time concerning the GERS that's so vital. Let's please go back. This has been going on for 19 years. 19 years, multiple people, well over into the hundreds, has died, as you heard from Mr. Albright. I say this because in 19 years, let's take away the emergency manager. Let's take it 8 years when Deidre Waterman was in office. Attorney fees were being paid, and not just when Deidre Waterman was in office. Patricia Waterman also was on the board of the GERS, and today she still is. Attorney fees have been paid, and those attorneys get paid a high amount of money. I don't know how to explain the money that's being paid, but they get paid more than the people that's retired that earn that money. They get paid. Those people are not. Deidre Waterman could have stopped this in her administration, and she chose not to. Tim Grimal, I don't know if he's worked on it according to what he says, but my mother always said, if it look like a duck, quack like a duck, to us it's a duck. He's going in the same patterns Deidre Waterman is going on, and how long will he continue to prolong this? Council, this is not your fight. This is a fight between the Board of GERS, Councilman Parker, and Major Tim Grimal. We ask for updates, and we ask for updates because people who are cannot make the secret meetings that you have, or the meetings that you give a day for one and a date for another. It's a mass confusion. They rely on the council meeting to get the updates, and you're not doing that. But can you please give an update how much you're paying these attorneys? Because if you feel when you add all that money together that you're paying attorneys and they live more comfortable than the people who cannot even get medication. They live in houses and chauffeurs and got housekeepers better than the ones who can't even get medication. They can't even get out their beds. Council, this is not your fight. This is the Gurge fight. And the leader of that Gurge is Patricia Waterman. Deidre Waterman played a part in it. Billy Swager, who continued to ask for money for attorney fees, should be sending out notices to the residents and saying your intent. But she choose to ask these people for money one-on-one.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Gloria Miller.
Okay, Councilman Parker, I'm gonna start with you first, because I got some issues in my district. The speed humps. I had the opportunity to speak with the contractor one day. I went over, you probably know about it because she said she spoke to you. But I have some areas in my district with the speed humps over in the hills, particular that street that come out to me on Boyd. Anyway, they runs it. They just run. They almost hit me the other day coming down the street. I'm just checking to see if we have any more speed humps. I did talk to, like I stated, I can't remember the contractor, but I'm sure you guys know the contractor. He had mentioned that they was going to put some on Bay Street, but I don't see them on Bay. And he mentioned that some need to go on Bay. Bay, they come down flying. And over by me on that side street. So I want to mention that to you. I told him I would bring it to you today and mention it to you. And you can get back with me and let me know if you have any more money, and maybe you guys put some more money in the budget, because these speed humps is a popular thing. That's why the last council we brought that up. Okay. Also, I was informed that Lancaster Village is in a lawsuit. They're in court for some things going on over there. I haven't heard anyone. I told them I haven't heard anything from the council as far as the lawsuit, Lancaster, some improprieties going on over there. There was a court case last week. Okay, and now I want to get to, the beautification signs. It's just ironic that you guys did. I meant to hit it last week, but I forgot it. You know, I mentioned this last year. Who wants a Pontiac Pride beautification sign in the winter? Hell, it's about to turn cold. Those signs should have been out. We always ordered those signs. And that just wasn't the 10th council. It was the 9th council. It was the 7th council. Patricia Waterman was over it. And I have to give it to her. She did a great job. We got these signs out to the people. I know Heritage Hills are sick, because I walked to them personally and gave them their sign. They should have had these signs way up in June, July. Nobody want no sign now. Hell, I'm getting ready to put my plants in the garage and get ready to give it for winter. This is an insult. This is the only thing they like. This is one of the things that they felt pride about. And you driving your feet to give them a sign. They love the signs. They're beautiful. But in about a month and a half, they're going to be in the grass, all in the garage. For a month. You guys should have had these signs out way by June. That's just me speaking, and some of my constituents telling me what to say. Also, I'm not going to say anything on the GERS. You know, last week I had the opportunity to go to a funeral, my cousin, and, you know, and I was sitting there, I was thinking to myself, I said, you know what, God? GERS is going through a lot. And it's a lot of sinister stuff going on with this GERS thing that go on this many years. And one of these days, as my sister-in-law used to say, that's deceased now, God gonna fix it. He gonna bring out the real crooks. He gonna show you what's going on.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. That concludes public comment.
All right, we're at public communications from the City Council. Very quickly, Accent Pontiac, a nonprofit in our community that seeks to improve the lives of Pontiac youth through music education, is hiring. They have various part-time positions they're looking to fill, so you can check our agenda for more information on how you can express your interest in those respective positions. Next, residents who are behind in paying their water bills or facing a service shutoff can get help from a partnership between the Water Resources Commission and OLSA. Those who qualify could get up to $1,500 in payments on their water bills and the Stop a Shut-Off plan, it is temporary and expires September 30th. So please schedule an appointment with OLSA as soon as you can. The Pontiac School District is seeking mentors for students at all grade levels. You can contact communications@pontiacschools.org for more information to express your interest. There's a seniors-only bingo August 30th from 1 to 3 p.m. held at the Ruth Peterson Senior Center. On September 9th, Community Building Trust Mental Health Forum is happening at All Saints Episcopal Church. On September 17th, Oak Hill Cemetery Walk, raising funds for the historic cemetery in our city, is taking place Sunday, September 17th from 2 to 4 p.m. We give the floor to Mayor Greimel for his mayor's communications.
Thank you. Two important announcements. The first of these actually relates to a great event that we had this past week that I know Quincy Stewart spoke to. We had a terrific event as part of our Music in the Parks series. That event, because of concerns about the weather, actually did not happen in a park as planned, but instead happened at the Pontiac Little Art Theater, the Platte in downtown Pontiac. And as you heard from Quincy, he and Councilwoman Melanie Rutherford did a great job performing at that event. But we've got our very last event in the Music in the Park series coming up next week. It is next Thursday, September 7th at Murphy Park. So come on out at 6:30 p.m. next Thursday, September 7th, featuring Persuasion with special guest Consuming Art. So that'll be the last wrap-up session of our Music in the Park series, and we encourage folks to come out for that. And then also, equally important, we want to make sure that people continue to provide feedback about the Pontiac Youth Recreation Center. We had 3 public town halls and listening sessions to solicit feedback. But it's still possible to provide feedback online. So if you go to the city's website and find the online survey, we want to hear from you about what you want to see incorporated as part of the Youth Recreation Center, where design of that will soon kick off. And we plan to have shovels in the ground next year, followed by a public opening of that new center the following year in 2025. So please provide feedback so that your interests, your desires can be incorporated into the design of this exciting new facility.
All right, with that, Mayor Greimel, your closing comments.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to clarify a few things. I know that we heard quite a bit this evening about GERS, which is the pension fund for our city's retirees. I have provided a lot of updates on this over the past number of months, going back now a year. I understand the concerns and frustrations of retirees who have been waiting now for, 10 years or more on this issue, really more like 13 or 14 years on this issue, going back to the period of emergency management. I've been in office, as has the council, for the past year and a half, and we've been working diligently on this, and I'm happy to report that as of a couple weeks ago, we do have now a tentative agreement between the city and the City of Pontiac Retired Employees Association. So the city and Cypria have come to an agreement, which is what's necessary in order to modify the agreement that was entered into between the city under the previous mayor back in 2017. And we need that agreement to be modified so that we can restore the monthly stipend to retirees and make sure that some other important changes are also made. One of those changes that we've come to agreement on is, in fact, offering the $20,000 opt-out payment, not just to retirees themselves if they opt out from health insurance, but also to the surviving spouses. That's been a key interest of mine, and I don't know why the original 2017 agreement did not allow for that. But for whatever reason, that was not included in the 2017 agreement. But again, as of 2 weeks ago, we have reached agreement with Cypria on making that modification. And I know that County Commissioner Emeritus Maddie Hatchett was referenced in a comment. And I have shared that information with County Commissioner Emeritus Maddie Hatchett, but I know it's of interest to many other retirees, surviving spouses as well. Also wanted to touch on some of the Phoenix Center concerns. There were several last-minute changes made to that agreement. One of those, as was mentioned, was not adopted by City Council, but there were a couple other important changes that were made at the last minute that the county had been fighting. And we wanted to make sure that we had protective language in there for the city. It's really legal language that our attorneys were strongly recommending be included so that the county can actually be held accountable for the promises it's making as part of this. And I know that many residents have concerns about whether the county will follow through. And some of the last minute changes, again, although the county was fighting them, were made at the last minute ultimately in order to protect the city so that the county will in fact have to live up to the promises it's making in this agreement. That agreement, by the way, is available. It's part of the minutes to the following meeting, so the complete voted on agreement is not some sort of secret agreement. It is there in the minutes for that meeting and can be viewed by the public, and we can certainly make it more accessible online as well in other ways and certainly publicize that. But it is an agreement that did have some last minute changes in it for the express purpose of protecting the city and holding the county accountable, and we believe that's important. In terms of where people are going to park, which was a question asked about the Phoenix Center project, the county has committed, yes, to demolishing the Phoenix Center, but also to building a new parking garage at county expense. It could be done by the county. It could be part of a public-private partnership. That has yet to be determined, but the county has to facilitate the construction of a new parking garage that does not obstruct Saginaw Street. There was also a question asked about the taxes on the Phoenix Center. The Phoenix Center itself has always been, and by that I mean the parking garage has always been city-owned, and so there were never any taxes paid on the Phoenix Center because it's owned by the city and the city does not pay taxes to itself. So depending on what happens in the future moving forward, if any portion of that property ends up being privately owned, that private owner would have to pay property taxes to the city. Furthermore, as the county moves at least 500 employees downtown, to the extent that some of those employees may end up coming from Waterford Township, where the county currently has a number of employees, that would be new tax revenue to the city because when those county employees are working in Waterford, they're not paying any city income tax to the city of Pontiac. But if those employees, if any employees who currently work in Waterford come downtown, they will be paying city income taxes to the city of Pontiac. The last item I want to speak to is the question about Lancaster Village. And I'm not aware of any lawsuit involving Lancaster Village, but I am aware of a lot of serious concerns that residents there have. And I know that a number of those individual residents may be in court with Lancaster Village, taking them to court to try to evict them or over other disputes. And we have alerted HUD to the concerns there, and we've asked HUD to investigate there. And we do have a follow-up conversation with HUD scheduled for next week, following the initial conversation 3 weeks ago. So we are aware of the concerns regarding Lancaster Village, and we are working diligently to try to resolve them. We also want to again remind residents, and this applies to those at Lancaster Village, that if your unit at Lancaster Village or any property here in the city is not both registered and certified as a rental unit, you can verify that by contacting the city, and if it's not registered and certified, we encourage you to put your rent payment in escrow here at City Hall. And again, that's free of charge to those renters who are living in a non-registered or non-certified unit. So put your rent payments in escrow here, and for any portion of time that that unit is not registered and certified, you will get those rent payments back from the city so that you don't have to pay rent for a period of time that your property is not both registered and certified. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, sir. Deputy Mayor Stevens? Deputy Clerk Starks? Okay. With that, City Council members, your closing comments. The Honorable William Parker, Jr. of District 5.
Thank you, sir. I believe the mayor has already updated at least what we know about Lancaster, so I won't cover that. I believe he's talked about the updates for GERD, so I won't cover that. But I can speak to the speed humps. There are currently now speed humps on Kettering and Emerson, and there should be some installed on Madison going toward the school before September. But I am told, and I've been repeatedly told, that they cannot and will not be put on Bay Street because of Bay being a major street, and it would cause problems during the winter months. But I don't know if that's still truth to that, and I will certainly be investigating that. And let's see, what else did I have? Yeah, Emerson Kettering University. And I know there's some ongoing questions that we have regarding some of the installation of the speed humps themselves. And if you're talking about Moore Street, because I was over there the other day, I know there aren't any in Harrington Hills. I thought about putting some on Lynch, and I was told that's a private road. Matter of fact, all of Harrington has been told that since that's a private subdivision, they can't put some there and some of those other roads. But certainly we can continue to investigate to find out why, because it didn't sit well with me when they said that. So we are going to continue to investigate that. I have been asking, because when we initially discussed speed humps, there was it was presented as 3 rows per district, and those have been installed. And I guess we can go back and ask for more if there are more needed. And we've been trying to figure out, particularly with Bay Street, since they did some repair, at least up there by the school, why they can't just finish out the whole entire street and do that. But I think it has to do with the ongoing issues with Galloway Park, as I was told. So we'll see about that as well. There's a lot of things that's being investigated. And so we'll continue to ask and ask until we get the answer that is needed so we can share it with the community at large. One of the things I know my name keep getting mentioned in regards to GERS, I must remind everybody, I am a trustee on GERS. I am not the president of GERS, and I do not hold the power to tell GERS what to do. I have 1 vote of about 14 votes as to what goes on there, but I can share that from a GERS perspective, and I believe those who are on the GERS board that come will say to you, it has always been the position of the GERS board to get the citizens the money that they were getting, and that will continue to be our position. I believe that was the position that the president stated when he came and gave the update last week, and that is where we continue to be. And there is a meeting tomorrow starting at 8:30. If there's anyone in the public that wants to come, it is a public meeting. You're certainly welcome to come and hear what we talk about. It has always been a public meeting. You can come and hear what we talk about. And so the best way, if you don't like what we tell you, come in and hear it for yourself. That way you know what was said, what was voted on, and what has been approved. And I think that's covered what the issues was that I have been made aware of today. And with that, all the other things I think I'm going to leave alone this week, because I know if I start talking about them, my twin will come out, and I don't want him to come out today. So with that, I'll say good evening.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Kathleen James, representing District 4.
Thank you. I want to thank those who came out for our District 4 Community Council meeting on last Thursday, August the 24th. We had a very good meeting, a very good discussion with the Director of Parks and Recreation for Oakland County, Chris Ward, who attended the meeting and shared some of the plans that they have for Hawthorne Park. I was very happy to hear that they are actively renovating now the public bathrooms at Hawthorne Park, and expect to have those bathrooms open and usable by the October timeframe. So we will have bathrooms. I think that will be the first park in the city to have bathrooms that are available and open to the public. So there's some great things happening at Hawthorne Park, and it was great to have him share the things that are going on. Also, I want to thank Code Enforcement for attending our meeting. Jack is always very, very well informed about the work that is happening. There were a lot of questions for him, and it was just a very good meeting. So again, I want to thank everyone who came out. And our next meeting will be September the 28th, Thursday, September 28th. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've heard from 5, 4, now 3, representing District 3, the Honorable Mikhail Goodman.
Good evening, everyone. So the first thing I want to do is re-highlight an event that's happening in the community in District 3 in North Kiwanis Park. As mentioned, the Bridging the Gap in Our Community Family Fun Day, that's happening September 2nd from 2 to 6. And I'll be again in North Kiwanis Park, or Stanley Park as I normally refer to it. And then I also have another thing that I want to announce. This is like general information as we discuss different housing things, especially discussing in the smallest amount Lancaster. And I have a letter from the Fair Housing Center of Metropolitan Detroit Just saying, for over 40 years, the Fair Housing Center has served the citizens in the community of Pontiac in fair housing complaint intake, investigation, testing, complaint resolution, and when necessary, we assist citizens in filing complaints in federal or state court with HUD and the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. We are also available to answer any questions by residents, housing providers, city staff, and others regarding fair housing and general housing-related matters. We also have a variety of fair housing brochures informing citizens of their fair housing rights on various topics, and all of these services are free of charge. And personally, I will be partnering with the Fair Housing Center going forward to help bring some more knowledge and resources to the city and citizens specifically. So, keep an eye on that. And I really want to highlight the ordinance that the mayor is alluding to, mentioning, because it's extremely important as we are trying to make sure that landlords are taking care of their properties and actually fighting for, actually doing their job to give tenants that they're paying, who are paying safe, quality housing. If your landlord is not compliant or not registered, please put your money in escrow in the city. That way you actually can get the property fixed and we can hold these bad actors accountable. And, just more importantly and overall, and I know the school week starts this week, so personally as a former educator, I want to wish, all the students who are not watching this, but of course all the parents, grandparents, other family members and guardians who are now back into the swing of things, doing the whole taking the kids and picking them up from school, helping with homework. It's a really vital and important part of our community, especially for me having been, taken care of by my parents and my extended family when going to school. It's really important. So I just want to make sure that we're, highlighting and, thanking all the people who are making sure that our students and our young people are being able to get a quality education, not just inside the school building. And the District 3 meeting is going to be September 15th at the Oakland County History Center at 6 p.m. So just want to keep bringing that one up so people can show up.
Thank you. Representing District 2, the Honorable Brett Nicholson.
Wanted to give an update. There are, in District 2, today I saw them and got many calls about some young people with yellow vests on walking around taking pictures of people's homes. I wasn't aware of it, so I went out and spoke with them. They do have information about a study that they're conducting. These are Oakland University graduate students on property condition. I'm not sure how far this extends out, but I'm sure we'll get an update about this in the coming week. They do have literature on hand. They are providing this information, this study, to our Grants and Philanthropy Department so that they can impact future grant and opportunities to help impact some of our neighborhoods. So that's who they are. They do have that information. But I got lots of concerned calls from neighbors today. Wanted to make sure people understood in District 2, we will be resuming, Coleman Yoakum is the chair of the District 2 Citizens Advisory Meeting. Those will start back after the summer break on September 25th, 7 o'clock at Goldner Walsh. We'll be hearing from Kristen Nelson, who is our county commissioner on that side of town. And so please do come along with all your questions for the Water Resource Commission projects, for different things as it relates to the county with the Sheriff's Department, Treasurer's Office, Clerk's Office, because this is the first time we've heard from her since that redistricting change has happened. So please do take her cell phone number while you're there so we can all try to help keep her more accountable to Pontiac in general. Wanted to give just some brief comment to, as the chair of the Finance and Personnel Subcommittee, item D, as that relates to maximum compensation for a particular director. I hope to not see resolutions on our consent agenda like this until we get the $200,000 that we had put into our budget this year. We granted a contract to GovHR. I'm told that we should be seeing the results of that contract within the next 2 months. I will use that subcommittee to hold that timeline as accountable as possible. I also want to remind, as I'm looking through the details of that resolution, that we talk about the success. And I'm not going going to ever detract from that success. It's tremendous, the amount of financial security that department has brought to this city. I'm incredibly proud of it. However, there are multiple concerns with that. The Association of Fundraising Professionals says that it is against their moral standards to directly associate compensation with someone's success in fundraising. So I want to be thoughtful and careful, especially because I know that person takes a great care of their integrity when we're constructing some of these things, and hope that as that committee's chair, that these are things that I'll be asked or talked to prior to seeing the actual resolution drafted. Apart from that, there is another whole side of that $200,000. There first started with the compensation study. The second side is to talk about performance-related compensation as the city moves in and building out our departments and having management structures and rewarding people for the hard work and the good jobs that they're doing. That is the whole second part of this. So as you notice, that contract that we awarded was not the full amendment, was not that full appropriation. So as those things come, but please, I hope that the work that we're doing on that committee is valued and trusted, and that we don't take these things part and parcel, and that we get the data and we get the informed information that we're spending our money on, because I do think that that is incredibly valuable. And if it's not, then I hope that those amendments in the future will be voted against. If I might stand alone on that, but that's where I stand. I don't, again, I think that person does a tremendous job. That department is, doing work that we haven't seen, here in the city before. And I do think that I wouldn't be surprised to see the data come back from that survey and say that. But I think that we need to make our decisions based on data and analysis, and not make them part and parcel. Thank you.
Representing District 1, the Honorable Melanie Rutherford.
We need to stop buying into the myth that gender equality is equal. It isn't equal yet. That was said by Beyonce. Everybody deserves to be awarded for the work they do. They should be able to live out their version of the American dream. For some, it's ensuring that a single mother of three, can be able to take care of their children's education. For others, dreams, it may be ensuring that a woman has a seat at the table. My version of my American dream is home ownership. Every day I hear, when can I have my American dream in the city of Pontiac? It can happen when we hold slumlords accountable. It can happen when we hold subpar business owners accountable, when we hold ourselves accountable. It's easy to say negative things and to condemn things, but no movement that I've ever been a part of has came without game changers. I happen to be a game changer. I invoke to ensure that everyone at the table will continue to be pushed the mission of home ownership, preferred housing, equal rights, and not just based on whether I like a person or not. To continue, I want to thank everybody that came to my show on the 26th. I really appreciate it. We made it do what it do. I want to also thank those who are game changers in our community, like Angela Allen, who is facing a tremendous moment, but she still served people at every event in this city. And yet we don't talk about what she does as a community leader and the tragedy that her family's facing. And we haven't dealt with it yet, but it's going to come to a point where we're going to have to talk about it, because things are happening in our community that we're not talking about. I want to thank everybody from the street teams that came out Saturday and played in the Battle of I-75. I was kind of disappointed that certain people who had so much to say in the back rooms didn't show up and show their faces in the front, because people needed to be encouraged. I also was saddened that the person that put it on was actually attacked the day before the event. And I felt like, what do you say in that moment? You tell them to keep going. At some point, we have to stop playing politics and politics and be about the business of the people, and not about whether we like how a person says stuff, how they deliver it, and most importantly, whether we like them. I don't like half the people I know, but I respect everybody I know. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to serve anybody. Now, I'm not here to serve myself. I'm here to serve the people. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank everybody who made sure I did not pass on Sunday. If you were at the event, I was attacked by bees and ended up going into full convulsions at the Angela Allen event. I do especially want to thank the mayor who got out and flagged the EMS while I was basically losing consciousness, because I am allergic to bees and it was real. And I want to say that publicly, because even though me and him don't always get along, he did get out in the middle of the street and flag like he was walking on the stroll, but that's another story for another day. I appreciate y'all. God bless you and good night. That's it.
Thank you. Representing District 6, President Pro Tem of the City Council, the Honorable William A. Carrington.
Yes, thank you, President McGinnis. I'd just like to thank my community, my district, for the continued support as well as continue to flag things in the district for code enforcement as well as the DBW department. This Friday, We Care Neighborhood Association is having their monthly meeting at Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church at 6 p.m. to 7:30. It's a great opportunity for residents in that part of the district to actually come out and listen and get informed what's happening in the district. Also, for the GM Housing Neighborhood Association meeting, you can contact Ms. Melissa McQueen, who's the chair of that particular neighborhood association. You can reach her at 248-862-1818. So if you live in that part, GM Housing Neighborhood, please contact Melissa McQueen so you can get involved in that particular neighborhood association. I am still looking for someone to organize a neighborhood association in the Perry Park subdivision. I've been told by many in that particular neighborhood that they don't feel comfortable organizing a neighborhood association because of fear of retaliation from other neighbors. For me, it's very sad to hear that. But I also want to add that the best way to make changes in a neighborhood is that people have to come together collectively in that particular neighborhood. One person voicing something doesn't create a movement. It takes people standing behind that person to create that movement. There's also been a lot of things said concerning some of the items on the day's council. And I stand with Councilman Nicholson when it comes to making sure things are done in the right order. So I don't want to go into the details of that particular decision, but I do know that it's imperative that we continue to have data in front of us when we make our decisions. And good night.
Good evening, everyone. I first want to make sure that this council knows my colleagues that sit on the Economic Development Subcommittee, since next Monday is Labor Day, we're going to shift it to the following Monday. So that's Monday, September 11th, I believe, 9 a.m. in the Legislative Conference Room. That's open to the public as well. So that's the Economic Development, Housing and Planning Subcommittee of the Pontiac City Council. On a related note, we will be receiving as a City Council the administration's proposal when it comes to small business supports and various programs and initiatives using the American Rescue Plan category for small business and entrepreneurship support that we as a council authorize. This is building that out. And so this council and that subcommittee in the coming weeks will be receiving those proposals and allow for feedback and further deliberation by the City Council. We have also, through various subcommittees, heard about the administration's proposed real estate dispensation policy. So us as a community considering city-owned property for sale. And so in the coming weeks and months, you'll be seeing a lot more movement on that for those residents that wish to pursue and purchase property that has been city-owned. There are many parcels, and so now it will be for council consideration what's the right strategy for how they start sorting and prioritizing. So I know a few different subcommittees have heard that, since it impacts facilities and property, it impacts economic development, it impacts finance and those considerations. To the question that was raised about beautification awards and the timing, earlier this year it was inquired with the community and the council what was the ideal time frame. So these signs are about 1 month earlier than last year, but we intentionally timed it so that way we weren't given awards at the beginning of the summer and then they're sitting in yards that aren't maintained. It's a balancing act. We want to make sure that we're rewarding a season of labor and love, and so it's a balancing act. It's still relatively a number of months before snow flies, God willing, but we intentionally did that balance based on the feedback of this council and this community. The feedback has also impacted the design and the inclusion of Spanish language messaging, as well as the colors. That was Ms. Clark's feedback, wanting to see it more colorful. So thank you to all the community members that offered that feedback, and we'll continue to improve the process as a result as well. Another resident asked about the Woodward Dream Cruise and what that means for our and other municipalities. There are 9 cities in Oakland County that are on the footprint or the trajectory of Woodward Avenue impacted by the Dream Cruise, Pontiac being not only one of them, but the best one of them. And so 9 municipalities and Oakland County makes 10. And what the Woodward Dream Cruise has done in recent years is that the committee provides $5,000 per municipality to pay for, defray some of the pain, the financial pain. And the primary cost comes in overtime for public safety officers. It's a little outdated now, but there was a news article that asked the different municipalities, how much does it cost you? So Birmingham gave a number. I want to say the city of Bloomfield Hills said $34,000 is what they pay in additional overtime. For Berkeley, in that press coverage, it was $18,000. Ferndale said it's about $10,000 in overtime that they pay for the Woodward Dream Cruise weekend. And that article is pre-pandemic. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been a lot more cruising and spectators and spending time on Woodward Avenue even before that weekend. It seems to have been drawn out more and more, especially during the pandemic. But hopefully they've increased that per municipality, and the administration can speak to what will be distributed or has been received for this last year, but it's pretty minimal. And that's in part because it's a sort of a organic event. People will get on the road and they don't have to pay to get on it. It comes through our city because it's on that thoroughfare. To your question about Berkeley, so that's what I know, that the main expense is police overtime for Woodward Avenue. The downtown in that municipality isn't on Woodward. It's on Coolidge and 12 Mile, and they do an event before the Dream Cruise where they have basically hundreds of cars parade down 12 Mile, and the city does not receive any money from the Dream Cruise for that either. It's paid for essentially by absorbed costs by the city of Berkeley. They used to have a sponsor, I think it might have been a local bank that used to pay to help cover the expenses and the risers and the porta potties and things like that. But it's been a number of years they have not had that sponsor. So they're looking at how to defray that because T-shirt sales alone aren't cutting it. It costs them more as a city to do that event than it does brings in. But it brings in participants, attendees to hopefully support the local businesses. That's maybe the most direct benefit, but that's still not directly tangible for taxpayers. So hopefully that answered that question to a degree. There is another angle if a community participates in the committee, like sends representatives to a committee. If there's any money left over, they will distribute a second check distributed equally by the communities. But again, I think that's very paltry. It's pretty small because almost every year the money is taken up on their expenses that the nonprofit committee for the Woodward Dream Cruise raises year after year. And Ford is their main sponsor, to be a presenting sponsor, and I think that was true for this year too. So that's what I know about the Woodward Dream Cruise and what it impacts in the community. The administration can give more answers about if there's any other reimbursements that might come from other entities. Some municipalities make some revenues based on renting out parking lots or parking spots, and I don't know how much that would have impacted us as a municipality, Pontiac, this year, because in part it depends on what real estate you've got facing Woodward Avenue and how do you market it and benefit from it. So that's what I know as it relates to that question. And for the sake of time, I will leave it at that. And is there a motion to adjourn?
Support.
Yes. So it's been moved by which council members? Rutherford, second by Nicholson. So we'll continue to take that up momentarily. Pro Tem.
If I may, and I do apologize, I forgot to mention that District 5 CDC meeting will be September 8, 6 p.m. in the City Hall Lions Den. Right. Expecting everybody to be there. Again, District 5 CDC meeting, September 8, 6 p.m., City Hall Lions Den. Thank you.
All right. Pandora's box opened. Councilman Rutherford, you're next.
I'm so sorry. On Saturday, there's a resurrection back to life. The City of Pontiac, District 1, 3, and 6 presents a Peace extravaganza. It's going to be at Rotary Park from 1 to 5 on September the 2nd. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. It's going to be comedians, free food, and we're asking that you wear white for peace. Thanks so much.
All right. With that, roll call and adoption of the motion to adjourn. Mr. Deputy Clerk.
Goodman.
Yes.
I don't know. James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Rutherford,
Yes.
Carrington.
Yes.
7 yeas, no nays.
That motion carries. We're adjourned at 7:39 PM. Everyone be